Welcome to the family with
Doug Sprinthal,
our special guest,
Robert Baril,
and Andy Brant Bernard.
Should it be Robert Baril? Because of your
Robert Baril. Yeah, if I wanted to really lean into the French, the Frenchiness.
When you brought that up before about being French, I had these friends. There were twins named Guy and Greg Laurent, and our first day in ninth grade, we'll go to because we went to a Catholic school together through eighth grade, and then went to a public school for ninth grade. And I will never forget because we're, 14 years old or something, 13, whatever, however old you are. But the teacher is going through the role, and Tom Barnard and blah blah blah. He gets to Guy Laurent and he goes, Guy Laurent. And we're like, what? Guy Laurent.
Well, say it right.
Well, it is the way you're supposed to say it. But I will never forget the look on Guy's face. He's like, what the hell? He had no idea what was all up. No question. Okay.
Well, that's what happens when your culture is stripped away from you.
Yeah, see,
as it happened to us too, to a much, much lesser extent than other people's. But
the French,
yeah.
Well, that's absolutely true. No question about it. But you still have your toast, so that's good.
Yeah, toast, cigarettes, wine. We're doing okay.
That's all you
Napoleon came out last year. We're still fairly well represented.
I haven't seen it. Is that good?
I thought it was really good.
That boy can act. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
Damn good actor. So when is your birthday?
April 22nd.
Oh, he's older than you, Andy. He's born in 86, just like you, but he's older than you.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, a couple of months.
4 months.
4 months.
Wait, 6 months.
Was it 6 months?
There you go.
Yeah, I guess it is. October.
All right. Oh, yeah.
October. That was a great year for humanity. The two of you being born the same year.
Yeah, us being born, AIDS, there was a lot of
about the AIDS part.
That was
the whole Berlin Wall thing was around then,
Yeah, the Mets wasn't 86 the Mets who won the World Series?
I think it was the Mets. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Now I got all these other memories of that year.
You are correct.
What?
Right, October 25th will always be the day the New York Mets made magic at their home after defeating the Red Sox. Yeah, I bet. Although apparently some people remember it.
They do indeed. Well, because it's Boston.
Worst reasons.
For the worst. For the worst.
Game 6 was when I don't remember who was it. The ball went between
Buckner.
Buckner's legs.
Buckner, yeah. First base.
Both of my grandmothers were alive at that time. Huge Red Sox fans.
Oh, God.
One of them watched Babe Ruth pitch in 1918, and my other grandmother used to take my mom out of grade school to go watch Ted Williams in the 40s.
Oh, God.
And I had my, back in those days, you had to have a book with all your family's phone numbers in it. I was going to call both of them, and they lost that game. I took that fucking whipped it across the room, and I didn't even watch Game 7. I was like, these bastards did it again. They're going to lose. And sure enough, they did.
Why don't you just be like the Kennedy assassination if you're a sports fan?
It is.
Yeah, there you go. Another Irish guy takes it deep, but other than that,
well, there's another thing that happened around our birthday: the Challenger disaster.
Yep,
there you go.
That's true. Yep. Big year. Big year for sad things.
Apparently, yes, no question. 1951. Did anything good happen in 1951, the year I was born?
Let's see. Let's ask
Korean War.
Eisenhower.
Yeah, Korean War, yeah.
Probably.
Eisenhower.
I'm trying to think of We Didn't Start the Fire song. Let's see. Korean Red Scare. That's probably pre-Red Scare, right?
No, that was about the height of it. Because I think it was
avalanches in the Alps killed 240.
There you go.
Probably French people.
Mount Lamington erupts, killing 3,000 people.
See, well, I was born and the earth couldn't stand it.
When was Elvis like 54? When did Elvis?
That's got to be about right.
54. He was born in 1935, so it couldn't have been 54.
51.
No, he was about 19 years old. He was a teenager,
I think.
The Big Bopper, who was around? Who was like top charts?
Yeah, he was 13 years old. Wow. Wait.
What?
Yeah. No, wait. No. He relocated.
Elvis lost his virginity
to Tennessee.
13.
Yeah, 1951.
Probably, yes. But yeah, in 54, he was 19. So it's not that young.
So I do remember as a little boy, I was, I think, 3. And I was such a long time ago, our father hadn't left us yet. So that's how I can remember that. But I remember he used to get an argument with my sister Bobby because she loved Elvis Presley. She just loved his music and all the rest of it. My dad comes home and he goes, I hate that crap you listen to all the time. Now this guy's a great singer. He's got the 45 back in the
Mhm.
old days with the 45. This guy, phenomenal singer. He puts on "Love Me Tender" by Elvis Presley. Didn't know it was the same guy.
That's pretty funny.
Okay, Dad, you might want to check your facts here before you get too far off the deep end. But what the hell? It all works out in the end, doesn't it?
Well, if you'd like to feel old, here's the event most close to your birthday,
To my birthday?
when like the day you were actually born in 1951. Direct dial coast to coast service begins in the United States.
Fred and Ethel were the first ones to get it. I
Probably
think.
$3 a minute.
It probably was
Probably was
in
a lot of money.
$1951.
I remember that, waiting till Sunday night so you could call your girlfriend
cheaper.
across country if she was on spring break, because then it would only be $1.50 rather than $5. No, there's no shit. You had to sit there with a payphone and just keep throwing quarters.
Absolutely.
I remember buying phone cards so I could talk to my friend back up in Minnesota whenever we went on vacation.
What's amazing about that? I was thinking about this because I made the statement on the show. I guess I think it was on Monday that someday when I do retire, I'm not going to carry a phone around with me anymore. And they said, "What?" And I said, "I'll just use phone booths." They go, "Where are you going to find one of those?" That ain't going to happen.
The Science Museum.
Yeah, the Science Museum would be the only. But somebody told me somebody does have public phones in their businesses.
The airports.
Airports. That's right. You said airports still do have so I'd have to go to the airport to take a call. But other than that,
You're the only person I know that actually answers the telephone.
Yeah, for
I know.
real.
I do. I answer my telephone.
Everybody else, you got flipped down or a text. Hey, I'll call you later.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But
But
Tom's like, hello.
if people knew how to spell, I'd let them text me, but they don't. It's a big problem. There's no question about that. I don't know what the hell. Robert Baril's with us, ladies and gentlemen, or actually we find out it's Robert Baril now because
We. I did
No
take
problem.
French in high school. I took it for 2 years. Recall very little of it, but it is a testament to how I could charm teachers. Where I don't. Well, maybe starting like junior year, I would say that I started to become a little popular, but I could always make the teachers laugh. And because I just Saturday Night Live, I consumed comedy. I was a student of comedy, and so I would joke probably above the level of most of the kids in my class, but like the teachers would laugh, and I could get away. Like if I could make them laugh, I could get away with saying some pretty salacious things because the other kids had no idea what I was saying. But I remember I brought, and there was no reason to even do it but there was I had some SNL collection best of, I don't know, 2004 or something or whatever. But there was a sketch on that VHS tape called Old French Whore.
Oh,
and it was like
okay.
a Jeopardy parody game. Garth Brooks was the celebrity. And it was just like these three people, and they were each partnered with an old French whore. And then they would have to answer trivia questions. And I remember like the teacher showed it. He showed it to the class. And I didn't think anything of it at the time, but now looking back, I'm like, wow, I can't believe that that the teacher would. But again, I think it was just a matter of like, well, whatever. Like, I mean, he probably had tenure, so he didn't give a shit. But
right.
It was one of those things too, where like, well, there's a sketch I can show the class called Old French Whore. He's like, well, this is French class, that counts.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah,
It's right in the title.
Mhm.
Hey, Catherine
Can you
just got
imagine
here.
being in
Look at who's here. Catherine showed up. Didn't get much sleep, honey. Was that the plan?
No, I did not get much sleep.
Why was Jude a little active?
Judy.
No, this was me.
Just was you not being able to sleep
Yes.
because you were thinking about being married to me, and it upset you so much that was that the plan?
All about you, honey.
My favorite. Oh, my favorite French story of all time. Do you follow hockey at all?
A little bit.
Okay, but back in the day, there was a legendary hockey player named Lou Nanny. Lou's been retired for years now. He coached the team. He was a great player, all the rest of it. Have you ever heard this story, Dougie?
No.
So Louis Nanny took his entire family, like 15, 20 people to France. They all wanted to go to France. So he took them all over to France. And they're, Italian, so they're making a little bit of noise in the French bistro. And at the very end, as the French server is bringing over the bill, he puts it on the table and he goes, I must say one thing. Typical Americans. All you do is make noise and cause trouble. Typical Americans. And Louis said, well, actually, I'm from Canada. A pause. That's even worse. One of my favorite French stories of all time. No matter where you were from, that was going to be even worse. I don't know. The Canadians aren't too rowdy, are they? Maybe they are.
Oh, I think it depends on the context and stuff.
I think the Newfies might be a little rowdy sometimes.
Yeah, Newfoundlanders. Yeah, probably.
Calgary. I do a club in Calgary. They can get a
Calgary's
little, it's a little wild. It's a
It's a
wild
great
west.
town, though.
Oh, it is absolutely.
I love that town.
Mhm.
Depends on if they bring a 2-4 with them, right?
Yeah. they
Anyone
defi-
here have any idea what a 2-4 is?
I do
not a
not.
clue.
It's a 24-pack of beer.
Ah,
Oh, they call it a 2-4 instead of a 24
A 2-4, yeah.
2-4. Jude's licking my leg right now. That's
No, he just
really
was
good.
licking Doug's leg, so you're in good
Yeah,
company.
he'll do
trying
that.
to figure out who's going to get eaten first.
Actually, Catherine, we were talking about when we first started going down to West Palm Beach, and we'd call Jude's name out, and everybody's head would turn because she thought she was hollering Jew. It's like, no, Judah. But you can't say Judah either because you're in the same boat.
Yeah, the looks on their faces, they whipped their head around in slight alarm and then realized I was calling the dog. And then it was like this flood of relief on their face. I was like,
How did they know?
How did they ever know?
Well, if they're old enough and they live down there, there probably were just like WASP mailmen, and they just had like a Leibowitz on there, and they're like, I don't know which Jew, Jew. Yeah,
Which one of you people is this for?
yeah.
That might be the case. Catherine, you've never met Robert Baril, have you?
I don't think so. Hello,
Not
dear.
yet, Catherine, my wife.
Hi.
Robert.
How are
Robert's
you?
been on the show for many, many, many times now.
Many, many, many.
At
times.
least 4.
Been more than that.
I don't know. I'm just
There
saying,
we
yeah, yeah.
go.
We've been
Typical.
have you been talking about all the Canadian shows that we like to watch now?
We've been talking about a lot of different shows. Matter of fact, Robert's been suggesting things. Dougie was bringing up things. So I was just talking about the fact that you and I have been on a hot streak watching movies that have been recommended. Correct. What are you doing?
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to figure out. This is a new situation
It's
here.
the same
Nothing.
system. Oh, the ring light isn't going to work.
Okay, and then sorry.
So you're good
Technical
to go?
difficulties.
Everybody can see your squinty eyes from not
Well, this
sleeping.
wow.
I was
Always
recommending
with
this
the
show called
self-esteem.
Frasier. That's
Yes,
pretty good. I don't know
really
if you've
good.
heard about this.
I
It's
think
a
it's
spin-off of another show called Cheers with Kelsey
Yeah,
Grammer.
you're like a
that's,
guy that just got rescued from a desert island.
or a cult.
Could be in a cult. That's true.
Hey, yay.
It all works out in the end. You good to go? No,
No, I don't know. I'm not.
she can't figure out how to.
It's the same
No,
system.
it's asking about different microphone accesses and
Just allow everything.
Here's Alex.
Safest thing to do. Just say yes.
Our
to everything.
daughter's
Say
here
yes to
and her
everything.
children.
Hi,
There's
sweetie.
Fawn.
I'm not on camera anyway, so it
What
doesn't
is Sage hanging back?
Well, we only got one chair, so
matter. Left him home
I
alone.
think it's sit in the same chair. I want him.
He's 6 now. He can just take care of himself.
Sage can sit on mom's lap. That'll be good, wouldn't it?
We're faced.
Alex, you ever met Robert Baril before?
I don't think so. Hello,
Hi,
nice to meet you.
you.
Well, anyway, there's this show called Still Standing
Yes.
that goes to this show.
Yeah, Jamie Gertz or maybe I'm getting the wrong one.
It's about this guy, this comedian. He's a comedian. He's also on Murdoch Mysteries. What's his
I'm
name?
thinking of something else.
Anyway, he goes around to all these little towns and does interviews about why they became a town
Oh, interesting.
and what they're up against.
Oh,
That
that's a
most of
great
them lost their income due to railroad changes or
yep.
lumber, whatever, timber, whatever,
Mhm.
mining practices, yada yada yada, and it's very very interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, he
That
does a
is a
great
really
job.
good
they're
show.
only like 15, 20 minutes.
They're about 15, 20 minutes. Yeah.
And he's very funny.
Oh, he's
Whatever
really
his
good.
name is.
It's Johnny. Oh, no, I can't. I
It
knew
is Johnny something.
It's Johnny. He's
Still standing.
one of the cops on
Murdoch Mysteries.
Murdoch Mysteries too in Canada. He's a Canadian guy. actually.
Somebody can look that up.
Yeah, what the hell's his name? Johnny.
So you're not talking about the sitcom from 2002.
It's not a sitcom.
But there was a sitcom called Still Standing,
yes, there
right?
Was.
Okay, good. See,
Oh, there
that's what
was.
I
Yeah,
thought.
there
It was
was.
Jamie Gertz and then this
You're right.
husky white guy, and it
Yep.
was just basically like a Kmart version of the Honeymooners or King of Queens or something. Just
Kmart
kind of-
version.
yeah, it was
Mark
just like,
Addy.
well, let's just do what they're doing, but not as good. I'm like, all right.
Yes, you guys are thinking of Johnny Harris.
Johnny
Johnny
Harris.
Harris,
Do you know
there
who
you
he
go.
is?
Mm-mm.
You don't know
Really
who he
good.
is? Huh.
No.
I would
Another
think he'd be a
exciting
Canadian
episode of-
treasure.
Andy looks up shit on the internet.
Yeah, he does that. Andy's always looking
Hey,
up stuff on
it's
the internet.
not as exciting as my cereal saga, but it's something.
What did you ever come up with the name of that?
Oh, don't start.
Don't start with.
It's
the
impossible to
cereal again.
remember because it's so generic.
Yeah.
It's seriously like crispy O's or something
Crispy
like
Bran
that. Yeah.
cereal or something. I don't remember.
Crispy Bran
I can't. I looked
cereal.
it up twice and I still don't
Yep.
remember what it was, but it took me an hour. To
Might as well
find
just be
it
called
was-
cereal.
Why were you looking up
By
the cereal?
Because we were talking about the
Cereal.
best cereal
Oh,
of
you
like
weren't
the
here.
90s or something.
We were
And
talking
I
about
was like, what
cereal.
about that?
Yeah.
I thought it was a circle cereal, but it's square with a circle in the middle.
Mhm.
And Andy knew what I was talking about, but we could figure out what it was.
It'll be on the highlight
Tasty
reel.
Bran Blasts.
20 minutes of, damn it, that's not it.
Yep.
You'd think that
Mhm.
since I was buying the cereal, I would know what it was, but I don't.
It
remember.
was
Cracklin.
Bran flakes.
Oh, they still don't know the name of the damn cereal. does it?
Cracklin Oat Bran.
Cracklin Oat
There it
Bran.
is.
Oh, is that still a thing?
Apparently.
Oh, they still sell crack. You probably get it Cub.
Probably.
If
Because
it
of
ain't
my-
broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, there you
Exactly.
go.
Exactly.
And I did, of course, the whole time they're talking about this, I did a morning show at KQRS for 37 years, so I never ate breakfast for almost 40 years.
Could've-
I had no idea what these cereals were all about. Never even heard of them.
I don't know what cereal is.
What the
I'm
hell
too
is
busy
cereal?
I
working.
said the new
I'm
cereal.
busy.
What?
What is the cereal?
Yes, I didn't even know what cereal was. That's exactly right.
That's what you sounded like. I just
No.
want you to know.
What is a Cheerio?
I knew
Breakfast?
Cheerios,
Whoever heard of such a thing?
shredded wheat Cheerios.
In my
and
day,
Rice
we
Krispies.
smoked 2 cigarettes. Your dad would slap you, and then you'd get to work. That was
That's
breakfast.
exactly right.
I didn't
Robert
have any of
nailed it.
these Lucky Charms, spoiled brats.
Always after me, Lucky Charms. Don't even think of that all day. Thank you so,
So you
much for
have
that.
heard of cereal.
Some,
Ah.
but not Cracklin Oat Bran. I've never
Nobody's
heard
No
of it.
one's heard it.
Andy and I.
I don't know
are the
why, but
only
we had it
people.
all the time.
We loved it.
You guys
I don't
must have
know.
liked it.
And then it stopped existing when we were like 12 years old or so.
Well, the kids arguing out in the.
Yeah, they got glow sticks at National Night Out last night, and it's been a whole thing.
Oh, how'd that go? That go okay?
Yeah, it was great. They had a great time. But
Why?
the glow sticks the next morning. Oof.
Why are they fighting about glow sticks?
Because why not?
You know how
No,
kids
that's
are.
true.
Because they're kids.
Mm-hmm.
Can't you just divide them in half?
And they're
I think I
cool.
will close
You'd
my door.
think.
Yeah,
You'd
it might
think.
be good to close both doors if they're going to be yelling out there.
Andy, give him a stern look.
Yeah,
Stern look,
Take
you
A stern look
too.
from
I'm
Uncle
looking at
Andy.
you.
What's that?
Quiet on the set.
Quiet on the set.
There we are.
Okay. No, we're fine anyway. They'll just come in whenever they want. It'll all work out.
I do have a
Pardon me.
question for Mom.
For Mom.
Oh,
okay.
God.
And Jude.
You have a
Did
question
you
for Jude?
perhaps go to the bathroom before coming in to this building?
Yes,
Because
I picked it up.
I think you might have dropped one because on when you walk in the first door, there was a
A turd?
surprise in the middle of where you were
I
walking.
put it in the garbage way far away from the front door.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe
Might have been somebody else.
You never know.
I don't know.
Maybe it was me
it
when
was
I got here
Jude
this morning.
sized.
It was Jude sized.
I like how
Okay.
you know my dog's.
I've picked it up enough times, so yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Just
Well,
watch
could
out.
be.
Watch
So did you
out
pick
for
it
that.
up?
I didn't have anything to pick it up with.
Oh, so the turd's still there.
She has. I
Update, still
I
there.
scooched it to
Yeah.
the side.
You scooched it?
I did.
Did you? With
Well,
your
that-
foot or something?
Thank you for
Yeah.
being an upstanding citizen.
Yeah,
I
that's
tried.
really nice.
On our
There's no
way out, we
question
can
about
pick it up.
Yeah, I do have
You-
bags.
Let's say you have bags.
it. Ladies
Anyway.
and gentlemen, Robert Baril is going to be at Acme tonight,
After that.
tomorrow night for one show, and then Friday and Saturday for 2 shows. 6
2
total.
shows. Yep.
It's magnificent.
I'm open to a third if ticket sales
Nice.
Skyrocket.
exactly.
If they
yeah,
skyrocket.
I'll do 3.
So no, it's still, and you made this point on the previous show. He was on the morning show with us this morning. You made this that it is one of the great comedy stores in the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
is
I
really good.
at least top 3 or 4. I think it's like
Mhm.
Punchline in San Francisco,
Right.
this one, and then I don't know, Comedy Store, probably one of those that just has been around forever, and like Catch a Rising Star or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely in the top 3 or 4 in the entire country.
Do people in San Francisco laugh? Because it doesn't seem like they laugh at much.
I don't know. I haven't been booked in San Francisco. That's the question you can ask Chad. I know Chad headlines it.
Chad, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'll ask him that when he pops in.
Yeah, you can ask me what the crowds are like in Boise, Idaho. I do.
Well, so
I don't
you
want to big
mispronounce-
time anybody on this, but this is, you know, they know how to pronounce my name in Boise. I'll say that.
My brother just moved there.
It's a fun town. It's getting some more culture now as people leave California because the cost of everything. So now
sure.
other smaller towns are kind of getting an influx of the people leaving California, and then they're bringing like the culture and stuff, and so it's getting to be a fun town.
Do they do any comedy? They do comedy in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, don't they? No,
Not being an expert.
I was just going to say, well, we were
Coeur d'Alene,
just there.
Idaho.
I thought you might know. But seriously, if you got to go there because Boise,
so
Idaho?
beautiful.
honest to God, Coeur
Yeah.
d'Alene is spectacular.
Isn't that where all the
I-
white nationalist camps are?
No, they
Probably.
are not.
I don't
No
think
white
Coeur d'Alene.
man.
Are you sure?
Listen to you.
I don't think
It's
Coeur
the
d'Alene.
highlight.
Okay.
Maybe in
Maybe.
Idaho, but not in Coeur d'Alene.
Contractually, I can only perform in Boise. They made me sign a do not compete.
That's it.
So it's
No
gonna
direct
have to. It's gonna have to be Boise. I don't.
understand.
I appreciate the offer, but it's loyalty.
Do you know that it's actually pronounced Boise?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had a
Yes.
cousin that
They made
moved
it
there,
up.
and now she's like in Boise. Boise.
Mhm.
I'm
It's
like,
not
"You don't
Boise. It's always been Boise my whole life.
They must respect me enough to have never corrected me, or I just never said the name of it when I was in the town. It was just like,
Maybe.
oh, it's good to be here. Here, this is.
It's like
this place.
Spokane. Always
Mm.
called it Spokane.
Mm.
Always
It's Spokane.
there. They say
Spokane.
Spokane. But then some people said Spokane.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
the
they did.
bartender that one
The
time. was-
bartender did, yeah.
I've been in Spokane now for, I don't know if he was just doing it for our benefit, but I don't know.
I don't know. I was having Diet Coke, so I didn't get lit up like you did.
Yeah, I was just hammered.
Jumped
Jumped in the river.
Drink
When
a
you get
diet-
corrected, you just want to like sit them down and be like, "Listen, no one cares.
I like
no
that.
one cares. No, it's Boise. It's who gives a shit."
Well,
No.
if we can circle back to Fraser for a second.
No.
Oh, we're
wow,
circling
that's a big
back.
circle
So,
Okay.
back.
so Roz is supposed to be from Wisconsin. But
Oh, is she?
She pronounces it Wisconsin. And that always bothered me because Wisconsinites don't pronounce it that way. So get it right.
Well,
idiots.
how's the wrong way to pronounce it?
She said Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Like there's an H in
Like a
there.
dub-
almost.
yeah,
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yep.
Wisconsin.
I listened to a podcast and they say Wisconsin.
Wisconsin?
Wisconsin?
I'm like, do you know how to read or no?
I'm actually from Eastconsin.
There you go. Absolutely. No question about it. Any big news since I left the house this morning?
I
Anything
have
happened?
no idea. I did not look at the news
You know,
gleefully and
Never
wonderfully.
do unless
I
you're
don't
around.
want to.
that's true. You guys only watch the news if I'm around, but I have a
I
job.
don't
that
watch
kinda-
the news when you're around.
That's true.
Yeah, you
Just
don't
don't
even
look
watch
at
it
it.
then.
I avoid it at all costs.
I
Oh, I thought you
absorb
meant
it
like family news. I
involuntarily.
didn't think you meant like national.
Well,
news.
that's what I did, but they turned
okay.
on me.
Oh.
You know.
Gotcha.
Oh, did we talk about the whole Tim Walz thing? Was
Yep.
that mentioned?
Yesterday.
God.
Well, you can
Yesterday?
talk about it too if you want. What about it?
I don't want. I don't have anything exciting to
Just
say.
wanted to bring it
wanted
up?
to ask if it was mentioned.
In case
know.
anyone hasn't
I
heard,
don't know.
late breaking news.
I don't
breaking
know.
news, Tim
When was that
Walz.
even announced?
Yesterday
much I don't
morning, I
watch the
think.
news.
Yesterday, yeah, I think.
It was before the show yesterday. Yeah, they
Okay.
announced it that
That
he
was
was
it.
going to be the guy.
Although I think Monday night on X, formerly Twitter, there were a few people that were reporting that there were a bunch of like black SUVs outside
Yeah,
the governor's
were.
mansion.
Yeah.
And then they flipped it to like Josh Shapiro, and it was just like an ice cream truck. And they're like, well, I think
That's an indicator. Yeah.
we don't want to break any news, a little premature, but this seems like it's going to be Walz at that point.
I heard on the national news this morning on the way in that Josh Shapiro turned the job down, but I don't know if
Really?
that's true or not. You think they might have made that up?
Yeah,
That's a bold
that's a
move to-
stretch.
Turned down the vice presidency.
Yeah, I didn't get into
Possible.
politics to further my career and accumulate and become more powerful. No,
And
sir,
richer.
that's not.
So you heard the story that Walls got busted for DUI.
Yeah.
Like it's 30. There's a even better part of that story. He
Mhm.
tried to get out of it by pretending he was deaf.
Yep.
Yeah, he did. He did. Tried to pretend he was deaf. Yeah, he was doing 40 miles an hour over the speed limit drunk.
Wow.
Why would
And
you do
how
that?
did the Vikings not sign him to be a wide receiver?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. He
Hero.
clearly meets the
Well, he hadn't punched
qualifications.
anyone yet, so you know,
That's true.
Only one of the two things required.
He was probably stayed awake. I think that's the the real trick is to pass out.
How long ago was that he got
It was
popped?
30 years.
Oh, it was like 30 years ago.
Early
So he's a
90s.
teacher or something then?
Yeah, I guess he would have
Uh,
been.
Let's
I don't know.
see. He was 96 in a 55 zone.
All I know, if
96
you look
and
at
55.
you look at social media, and he's either the savior of the Western world, or he's the guy that let everything burn down and
Well, he did do that.
fritter away billions of dollars. It's just one or the other. It's
Yeah,
either one or the other.
Yeah, can't be any nuance or middle ground
No,
or
no.
yeah.
No.
Mhm.
I am very lucky because I don't like any politicians. Doesn't matter Republican, Democrat. I don't care what the hell they are. They're not my kind of people.
Oh,
I
here's
think
some-
it makes perfect sense why Kamala would choose Walz just based on Minnesota's unbelievable history of playoff success.
Oh,
That's-
a personal shot.
Why wouldn't you go with when the games when it's a
That's right,
game
when the
that
chips are
matters?
down, we
You
never
want Team
rise to the top.
Minnesota, absolutely. All those banners up at Target Center for the Timberwolves and all those Minnesota Wild championships in the mid 2000s, and let's
Yeah.
not forget the Twins run from
91.
1992 to
Right.
91, 87, 91.
87. Yeah, I turned. Yeah, within like the first 5 years of my life, they won 2 World Series that I get to
Never
appreciate,
again.
and never again.
Yeah, it's not exactly. Well, University of Minnesota won the national championship in football in 1961. So it wasn't that long
That's
ago.
true. Yeah, and the Lynx won 3, and then the hockey team right out of the
Yeah,
gate.
We have a
won
great
the first
100-year
one. Yeah.
history of sports.
Yeah, it's really a brilliant place. What I love is in 1976, I think it was, maybe 77, I bought 6 season tickets to the Minnesota Twins, right in line with first base. I'm just right there and everything's wonderful. And I believe, if I remember back now, the entire season, I think those 6 tickets were, I believe, $11,000. Is what for the entire.
I mean, 76, you could have bought the team for 100.
That's probably true. But I looked into doing the same thing this year with the exact same. I mean, it's a different stadium, but the exact same lineup of where it is and all the rest of it. $160,000.
And they still can't afford to get a starting pitcher on a rental for the last 2 months of the season.
They did nothing.
No,
They did absolutely nothing.
it's frustrating because, like, you look at the GM of the Timberwolves, Conley. He's making moves.
Mhm.
He's trading future draft picks because who cares? Because you want to win now. There's like
Yep.
a 3-year window. You look at this team with Royce Lewis, Carlos Correa. Like they got go all in. Who
I
cares?
know.
Oh, yeah. So the picks don't pan out, or maybe they do pan out for another team. But like, what are we even doing here? Is like it just seems like the goal is to make the playoffs. Maybe something will happen, but historically, it hasn't for a very long time.
Very long time.
Like,
Yeah.
get
take a
people
chance,
something to be
man.
excited about. Exactly.
Yeah.
What's
I
third
agree.
generation? I guess third generation always does that. Carl, I still can't believe he bought that team for $35 million. It's now worth like $2.5 billion. $35 million he bought that team for. God. It's not
That's
fair.
chump change in today's money, right?
It is the jump change in
It's
today's
just like
money.
what Carlos Correa is making for like 3
Yeah,
years or
right.
something. Like, yeah,
That's
That's exactly right.
Mhm.
No, I'm a huge Twins fan. I love baseball. Always have loved baseball. Because, well, we got our baseball team in, was it 1961? The Vikings 1961. I don't remember because I was too young. But the Minneapolis Lakers won a bunch of championships, and then of course, as soon as I was old enough to watch them, they moved to Los Angeles. But other than that,
Yeah.
you know.
You're not bitter.
That was the last time we had a Minnesota vice president. The Vikings did get to the Super Bowl, right? In the 70s
I think
when
that's- yeah.
Monde was like 76, 77, I think.
Walter
was their
Mondale.
last, yeah.
Did
I
somebody
mean, I
tell
don't
you
think
to
there's
bring
any
him
kind of
up to me?
connection, but to bring up Walter Mondale.
Yeah.
Well, part of it is just with I mean, the stars aligned, right? I'm in Minneapolis, my home club, and now a Minnesota vice presidential candidate. So now it's immediately like, okay, like, you know, I mean, it's probably going to be for like 4 people, a Mondale joke or a Humphrey joke or something. But like, you know, I want to joke about the roof collapsing on the Tim Walz Superdome in like 2074 or something. But like, yeah. So I guess that's my way of bringing up Mondale to you. Is that going to set you up for something?
He hated my guts. He
okay.
hated. I don't know what the hell I ever did to this guy, but my God, he had kind of a rough go because I'm still not used to the fact that Eleanor Mondale's dead.
Yeah. I used to play basketball with Ted, his son.
Oh, you played with
He was
Ted?
a pretty good point guard. Yeah, he went to Billy Mitchell with a buddy of mine, and I got recruited to play on a all-lawyer team, even though I wasn't a lawyer.
You know, my favorite Mondale story, and this is why he got so angry with me, and it's like, if you can't take a joke, oh my God. But he always hated me after this. I was up in northern Minnesota. So all these, you know, everybody's got a cabin up there. And the Mondales had a cabin, but you couldn't see it from the road, right? Most of them you can see as you're driving along. It's like, oh, look at that beautiful cabin. Look at this one. Well, you couldn't see their cabin from the road. So Walter put a sign on the road that said, Mondale. Like, why would you do that? I mean, first of all, you're vice president of the United States, and now you want everybody to know where you live in the middle of nowhere? Was that an intelligent move?
It's probably the vice presidency is a fascinating position because you are a heartbeat away from power. But at the same time, most people have no idea who you are.
Yep.
No, not a clue.
I forget which vice president referred to it as like a warm bucket of piss, but essentially it's that's what, maybe it was even like John Adams or somebody, where it's, I mean, because that's like the presidency is everything. And the vice presidency, you break a tie in the Senate and you're just around in case the president dies.
Yeah,
like
unless you're Dick Cheney, then you're actually running the country.
If
we've had two strong ones in my life. LBJ and Dick Cheney were like, these guys are the ones that are actually doing all this stuff. But the rest of them, you know, Dan Quayle.
Your buddy.
What did he do that everybody, he couldn't spell tomato?
Oh,
potato.
No, he just said the weirdest stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I love this.
You know, I wish I'd learned Latin because I'm traveling to Latin America.
Dude, well, see, Latin America.
Latin based. So give him some credit. He gets a half point.
Things have never been more like they are than they are today.
Yes, they've been more like they are.
That sounds like
Kamala. It's just.
Well, actually, he played an interesting role. So I don't know if you read the Bob Woodward book, Peril, all about the 2020 and the election denying thing. And I guess there was a point where Mike Pence actually talked to Dan Quayle, vice president to vice president. He's like, listen, Trump is on me to like not certify. Is there any way? And even Dan Quayle was like, it's symbolic, man. Like there's no power there. Like you can't, and like that should tell you like how bad when like Dan Quayle's the voice of reason and like, no, you don't have that authority, dude. Like just, you have to, whatever they do, you have to like, they're going to certify it. All you do is rubber stamp it. You don't get to overturn an entire national like that's the vice presidencies. You break a tie in the Senate and then you could just get to decide who wins an election on a whim.
Honest to God, you know, you should let your son know that that's terrifying what he just did.
Terrifying.
The door opened and nobody was there. And I looked, he was
he just army crawled with a note.
Army crawled in the door. I'm like,
he was avoiding the camera.
Well, it's a good move.
Well, my computer died, even though it's plugged
hand it to
in.
your mother?
Those computers are awful.
And she's
not even doing it.
Who's doing what?
The video.
She can't figure it out.
Please go out into the other room. Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Well, they're both here. I still didn't get my. Where's my greeting, by the way?
Gracious. Okay. Where?
Yeah. Okay.
From the top of the float.
Yeah.
First time ever. They usually come in and give me a big hug. Not today, though. No.
I can tell that they were out late. They've got the
because the national night out.
Yep.
So tell me about that. So what do you do on the national night out? You just hang together with your
neighbors.
Neighbors in the street?
Yep.
Protecting the mean streets of West Bloomington.
The mean streets.
I don't remember him doing that on Plymouth Avenue when I was a kid. I got to be honest with you.
I think it's just, it's obviously, in my opinion, just a way of getting neighbors connected so they'll watch out for each other.
Well, that could
instead of
be.
everybody not knowing
suppose,
who. I mean, I've known people that have never met the person that lives next door or
Oh,
two
yeah.
doors down.
Yep.
They have no idea what they even look like.
Yes.
It's to me that's a little
You're
weird.
not on camera
Mhm.
anyway, Alex. What are you doing?
But I walk a
ignoring
dog
my
all the
son.
time, so I get to know
Oh, you're
everybody.
ignoring him.
Isn't that
Okay.
obvious?
Sorry, I didn't know you were ignoring him. It all works out in the end, though.
Yeah. Well, we have a new little girl neighbor a couple houses down, and then a little boy neighbor, and then a teenage girl neighbor, and they all were just like running around like maniacs.
Having a good time.
Having a great time.
You guys have a new friend then? So you like? Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
They usually
Fawn
pop
was
on-
stalking the house for what, hours? Just walking around in the circle,
Yes.
waiting to see if the
Hoping
new
that
neighbors
she would
had a kid.
emerge.
She-
Oh yeah.
She spent a
Hoping.
lot of time just casually walking by and staring at the house.
I was out to dinner with you, and Dan sent me a video. She's just walking in front of the house. back and forth.
To
When
see
we
if
were
they
kids,
have
we would just go pound on the door and say, "Hey, you got any kids?"
She is not that kid.
No, she's not that.
Definitely have to be a kid to do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
They
yeah.
do.
That's a kid only job.
How old are
right
they?
there.
Are they boys or
That's-
girls? Run away.
Oh, by the way, Catherine, Doug is very upset that you're not playing the game today.
What game?
I'm not
From
upset.
last week.
I don't know what this is.
Oh man.
Oh, it
We
was-
played
You
the
would be-
Mind the Gap.
Mind the Gap.
We played our kind of own version of it when we were in
Mhm.
Red Wing for Amanda's wedding. It was like those cards, and it was like
Oh, yeah,
boomer
yeah, yeah.
cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
The
we
problem
played that
was
last
there's
week.
a part of the game that's a challenge that requires people to act out whatever the card is. It's kind of like
Oh,
charades, but
charades
it
a
really
little
is
There was,
probably
like-
the worst thing to do on a podcast.
Yeah.
We've
But there was
consulted,
And we were completely shitty at.
we consulted the audience. We're going to be removing the challenge cards next time.
Yes,
we
the audience
play.
didn't
I
like
would
the
Remove the
challenge.
I would
challenge
just
cards,
well, it's
okay.
because nothing happens other
No,
than
it's-
darn it. What am I going to do?
it's
I
not
don't-
good.
I can't. What if?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, it's that deal. I could. By the way, Alex, did you notice when you walked in that Nana didn't get any sleep last night because she was so happy that today's the last day of moving?
oh my!
We've been moving for
God.
6 weeks. I'm not kidding.
Oh my god!
Preaching
Moving
to
is
the
the
choir.
worst.
Freedom.
Moving is
Well, it's the
horrendous.
downsizing that's been horrible.
Yeah, that's been really.
Getting rid of 80% of your stuff is
Yeah.
a challenge, and it's horrible.
Burn pile.
Did
And
you
I
do
don't
the
recommend it.
Burn
garage
pile.
sale? You do
No,
the
Facebook Marketplace,
Yeah,
which
Facebook
I'm now
Marketplace.
banned from. I don't know
How
what.
did you
Are
get
they banned?
banned?
I don't know. They've just deleted me and won't let me back on.
They banned me from Facebook Marketplace too. When like 4 years ago.
What? I
just,
know.
I
All of a
was
sudden-
selling stuff, and then all of a sudden it's just like you're banned.
That's
Go
what
away.
they did to
I
me
sold
too.
tons of stuff when we
I
we're in
s- I
the process
sold-
of moving as well. And
I was
got
very
rid of
happy
so
they
much
banned
stuff.
me at the very end here because
Yeah.
I did get rid of a ton of
Mhm.
stuff on
You
that.
did,
and all of a
yeah.
sudden I'm just banned. No explanation. It says you can't have access to Facebook because it appears that you are in a foreign country that doesn't have Facebook Marketplace.
No.
You're not moving that far.
So I've contacted them.
Really?
I've done all of the things that it says on the help page. I've gone on the the techie people on YouTube that always have a good fix, usually can fix anything. None of it works.
You know what I
that
loved
Mark
about this,
Zuckerberg's phone number?
Robert? This is a true
What?
story.
Yeah,
by
I
the
don't
way.
have his number.
So she's selling all this stuff, and big shot Alice Capone down there walks by me and goes, "Here's 100 for you." Really?
500. I gave you $500.
Oh, I thought it was 100. Pardon me.
I
She's
sold,
like,
yeah,
"Here
I
you
sold
go."
the movie theater
Oh,
seats
wow.
for
Yeah, big shot.
$1,000. I was pretty happy with that one.
Nice.
Mm.
Oh, the theater seats, yeah. Now,
They were in
let
good
me
shape.
run this by
That's a
you two.
good buy.
It
actually.
is a good
It is a
buy.
good buy.
But
There was
nobody gives you
probably-
anything on this.
That's right.
Could have got season tickets to the Twins in 1983.
Exactly.
Yeah.
1983.
Yeah.
This moving thing has been just unbelievable. But
Except,
we sold our house. It closes, as a matter of fact, a week from today,
yeah,
doesn't it?
next week. So we got to be out of there.
The person who bought it, we have a movie theater in the house.
Mhm.
She said, "Take all that stuff out. I don't want that." Like, why would you not want a movie theater in your house?
A lot of people just don't watch movies.
Well, then you watch TV. You watch
But
the
you
news
probably
on
have
it.
guests that watch.
You'd think.
I could see like if you know,
I don't know, there's a lot of people
there's an option of like building a theater, but if it already comes with a
Yeah.
theater, why would you?
I don't know.
Or if it's like a fitness room and you're not a fitness person,
Right.
you're like, I'm just going to feel bad every time I walk past this
Yep.
thing. So like, we're going to
Yeah.
make it an office, make it a pantry, put food in that workout room.
Yes, there you go.
I had a
But-
little wine cellar in ours. It only held probably 200 bottles. It wasn't like your old one.
Only.
New owners wanted us to take it out. I thought
They
that was
did?
odd.
Really?
Maybe they don't
that's
drink.
odd for being Muslims.
Maybe they're alcoholics, recovering
No,
alcoholics.
it's a Muslim family.
Oh,
That'll
well,
do it.
there, that'll do
I
it.
said,
Well,
well,
It's a water cellar. There
no
you go.
question about it. Now,
Yeah,
where did you grow up?
Warroad,
Warroad.
Warroad, Minnesota.
Let me just
Yep.
Google that quickly.
Warroad.
Never
Just Googling it
in my
quick.
life.
Well, that's quite a
It'll
ways
be-
up
it's a
north.
short
Yep.
search.
It's
Yeah.
up there.
barely south
Oh,
of Canada.
It is just like literally bordering Canada.
Yeah, we would if you when I was in high school, if you went to a cool enough party, there was a chance you would just wake up in Canada or like find yourself in Canada. Yeah. Yeah, it was only 6 miles away. And pre 9/11, I mean, pretty lax border. I mean,
Oh,
even
yeah.
after
Oh, yeah.
9/11, it's
I'm
not like we were worried
sure-
about the Canadians, but especially pre, it was just like, hey, be careful, eh? And you're like, yeah, okay. And then we just go over there.
Are you
So.
near Winnipeg? Is it near Winnipeg?
Yeah,
Winnipeg's
Winnipeg
north.
would probably be the closest Canadians. I mean, there was a bunch of small towns before you get there,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Louis
that's the-
Anderson used to play Winnipeg all the time.
Yeah, you did.
Mhm.
I don't know
You
why.
did indeed. Oh, it's one thing you guys we were talking about. The not the Big Lebowski. What is it for? Ferris Bueller.
Mhm.
And you're watching the movie, and all of a sudden there's Louis. They answer the door. They open the door, and there's Louis. It doesn't say a word, but it's like, oh my God, it's Louis.
Mhm.
I didn't know
Yeah.
he was in that movie.
I know he looked like such a baby.
He looked like a little baby. He actually did. Catherine still has his little statue on a shelf. We do
His little
miss Louis.
bobblehead. So I
Yeah.
got a
Bobblehead.
bobblehead. He gave me all kinds of. Of course, he says one of these days you're going to be collector items. I'm like, okay.
I sat right behind him at your wedding, Alex.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Talked to
Louis,
him for a little bit.
yeah, Louis. Yeah, Louis became a big friend. My mother, he treated my mother like she was the queen of earth. He was so
Yeah.
sweet to my mother. It was unbelievable. She
He
just
did like a
adored
mom.
him.
I got to open for him in Vegas many years ago, and my parents came and yeah, same thing.
Yep.
Treat, yeah, he
Wonderful.
he wanted to know your mom. He
Yeah, he
wanted to
did.
know. I mean, I think that was everything to him. That's the seeds of like who you are as a person and stuff. And I think if he cared about you, he also wanted to like, meet the woman that you came from.
Well, and then he eventually became a mom on baskets.
That's
On
full
Ba-
circle.
That's right on
There
baskets.
you go.
Christine,
Where's
yeah.
Alex going? What's she
I
doing?
don't know.
I
She's
think
gone.
she's having child issues.
I
No,
think
she's having
so.
some child issues. I'm
Yeah,
sorry
I think
to believe.
somebody's not behaving or.
But
doing
getting back
something.
to Warroad. So I remember one time I went up there with some buddies of mine that were a year older than me. I think I might have been a junior or senior, and they were either seniors or had just graduated. And just like my own naivete, like small town guy, we went to this bar. I think it was in Piney. I think that's the name of a small Canadian town or something. But like we could drink because we were 18.
Mhm.
And I just remember I was playing pool with this guy and he was like buying me shots. And
Oh.
yeah. So like, and they kind of go off and do their own thing for whatever. They're like watching a game. And then they come over to me and they're like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, oh, I'm playing pool with this guy. He's a nice guy. He's like buying me shots. And they're like, do you not get what's going on here? I'm like, no, I don't. What? This is nice. I don't have to pay for a drink. And they're like, there are expectations that come with this that I don't think you're
You're
aware
not
of.
aware of this.
So then they like kind of like hung around, and then it was like, oh, okay. But then so they just kind of like then they like hung around the table, and then just kind of like put their arm around me and stuff too, and then acted almost like, oh, hey, our boy. So then I think he kind of was just like, oh, all right, and then realized that it was probably going to be a much more difficult task to accomplish with two other guys who were suddenly made aware of what was happening at the pool
Oh.
table. I mean, eventually I would have caught on, but certainly not
And when
at
he
the
started
time.
making out with
Yeah.
you would have noticed.
Mhm.
Well, he found
Yeah.
you attractive, so that's good.
Well, I was flattered. I was certainly flattered once I realized what the game actually was, not being pool. But yeah, I'm definitely. I was like, oh, I'm glad you guys were there, and like, yeah, we're glad we're there too. You had no idea.
It's a hockey town up there too, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Mhm.
Right.
Big time.
I feel
hockey
like
town.
we've had quite a few. They've been in
Hockey.
a lot of tournaments that they've done well,
Oh
right?
yeah,
High
yep.
school?
High school hockey, and then they had some NHL. Henry Boucher,
Oh
Big-
God, yeah.
him and TJ Oshie, probably the most notable.
That is the deal.
Yeah, and then Gigi Marvin as well, women's hockey Olympian.
So I got to ask you a question. So how old were you when you left Warroad?
When I left, when I graduated high school.
Oh, yes,
So,
when you
yeah,
left.
yeah. And then I went to college at Bemidji.
And how old were you when you said, I might want to do stand-up comedy?
Probably 14, 15.
So you knew you were never going to stay in Warroad.
No, I was never,
Not going to happen.
What
Did
kind
you?
of industries up there anyway?
Marvin
jobs?
Windows,
Ah.
and then like tourism, especially in the summer, hunting,
Mm.
fishing,
Oh, yeah,
all
yeah.
that kind of thing.
Well, it's
Outdoors,
right on the lake. So
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you remember who inspired you to get into comedy? Were there a couple of guys doing it?
So up until I was like 14, I think I wanted to be a professional football player because you're just a kid, professional
Yeah.
football player, baseball player, whatever. And I just remember a buddy of mine on the team, Jerry, I was making him laugh doing something. And he's like, you're not going to be a professional football player, which to me was just like, oh, but he's like, you're going to be a comedian. And then
Ooh.
he introduced me to, I think he had 2 or 3 Jeff Foxworthy CDs.
Oh, yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
like the first time I realized that you could just be funny for a job. Like that's it.
Mhm.
Just make people laugh. And then from that point on, I was sold. It was, and I don't really, I mean, it took me years to appreciate just how much of a gift that is to just know this is my purpose. Like this is my passion, my
Mhm.
joy. Like this, I don't have to go anywhere else to find it, to figure out what I meant to do or called to do. It was just like the switch was flipped. And then it was kind of my gateway comic to then I'd like Seinfeld, Romano. I think it
Oh,
was
yeah.
natural to do like sitcom, Drew Carey. And then from there, I think I circled back and then started with like the legends, like your Carlin, Pryor, Lenny Bruce, and then Robin Williams, and just kind of on down the line. But
Did you realize immediately? Because people don't like to hear this, but not everybody can do comedy. They
Mhm.
think they might be able to
not even do comedy, just be funny.
just be funny.
Ever.
Yeah.
yeah, I think, doing comedy or solving murders. I think everybody, I feel like, that's the one thing comedians and detectives have in common is that everybody thinks they can do the job.
There's a great scene in The Simpsons where there's Milhouse and Bart are spying on this town, and Bart says, I'll just read their lips. And Milhouse says, you can? He goes, I always assumed I could.
I just thought I could. I don't know. So when do you remember that first time you made people laugh?
The first, I think the first time or at least the first memory that I have of kind of telling a joke or whatever was I was out with my brother in the yard, and I was probably like 3 or 4 years old or something. And there was this gray cat had like walked past the house or something. And I think my dad was outside. My mom was inside. And I think dad just said something about a gray cat or whatever. And then I just said, well, yeah, but the reason it's gray is because of all the stress from being a mother, which is like my mom would always say, like the stress from being a
good
mother.
joke, though.
And I think it was just something about like the connection, like the connecting this thing to this other thing
Mhm.
through a similar, through that lens or whatever. And that's like the first kind of joke I remember formulating in my head. And that satisfaction of tying together two ideas that, other people might not be able to make that connection, but like to have that synapse or whatever. And I just, and my dad laughed really hard at that. I just remember like, this is a really good feeling. Like I kind of enjoy doing that. And so I think from that until like 14, I think I enjoyed entertaining and making people laugh, but I wasn't cognizant of that like being an actual profession or anything. I think that was just a satisfaction of making people laugh. And then it wasn't nearly as like, it wasn't an ambition or anything until I was probably 15. But then it was like training. Like I would write sketches. I'd like write little monologues. And I couldn't perform them because there was no place to do it in Warroad or even Bemidji. I did some theater and stuff. But once I moved down here and '09 or 2010, and was I able to like start doing open mics consistently and start actually honing an act.
I mean, it's just a great story, because to know that at such a young age, and maybe people who are funny do know they're funny when they're that young, but most people are not. I mean, they're not funny in the least when they're kids. They think they are, but they're not at all.
Well, and I think part of it too was the fact that I made myself a student of comedy, watched Saturday Night Live, the highlight videos, the best of tapes, and I read Dennis Miller's books. And I think like if you watch my act, you can definitely see the Dennis Miller influence, especially in like my setup punchline jokes, not necessarily like ranty stuff or traditional bit stuff, but certainly just like tossing off a one-liner. Like I just loved the kind of cocksure swagger and intelligence behind it. Like, you know, one of my favorites is Pat Buchanan is so homophobic, he blames global warming on the AIDS quilt. And just the way he delivered that line, just
That's really good.
and like when he went off on his rants, it was almost like this verbal equivalent of like a guitar solo. Like I just watch him and be like, God damn, like the way he connects things and rips on people and it builds and he just keeps going. And like that was my Freebird, basically, like that guitar solo Freebird. It's just, except it's like Gorbachev and you know, like whatever. And I just remember thinking like, man, if I could just come anywhere near this and then try to, but obviously there is a Dennis Miller. So after a few years, because I think I forget who said it, but like any comic, the first 2 or 3 years you're doing it, you're basically just doing a poor version of your favorite comedian or writing for them. So then after that, I kind of found what my own voice was. And I think like if you watch me, there's still probably going to be, you know, 3 or 4 one-liners that definitely are like a little homage or just kind of, okay, there's some Miller in there, but it's not, you know, my whole persona or anything. But through those books and stuff, I learned to write jokes in that style. And so it took me a while, like, you know, to get to be the class clown, but from like maybe 14, 15, I could always make the teachers laugh. I could, and that was kind of the adult in the room that I could with. I remember one year, I think I was a junior, and for a buddy's English class project, I was George Orwell. And he was interviewing me. And at the end of it, I just remember because it was around Halloween and he asked me if I was celebrating Halloween. And I was like, oh yeah, my wife and I always celebrate Halloween. And he was like, oh, okay, what are you going to dress up as? And I was like, well, my wife will be going as a brick and I'll be going as a bricklayer. And I just remember it was like quiet in the room. And I remember the teacher clearly like scanning the room, like, do any of the kids get what he said? And then quietly putting his head down and just like laughing to himself. And then he got right up. He's like, all right, that'll be enough, Robert. I'm like, all right. Cause I was just in there for the interview. It was the other guy's class period. I was just there for that. But I remember, and then just the sense of satisfaction of like, I just got away with a sex joke in front of everybody in this class. Cause no one, I mean, 17-year-olds, especially whenever it was, didn't realize that lay meant that as a verb. But me watching all this comedy and everything and, you know, Mike Myers and stuff like that with like the Wayne's World double entendres. And so I was, I'm not going to say black belt, but certainly maybe like a comedy green belt or something when everybody else was, you know, just like the more Adam Sandler broad comedy. And I was doing a more advanced thing for the teachers. So you were more funny than the rest of your class. Does that mean you didn't just call everything gay? That's how we got our laughs in middle school.
Did back in those days.
God, I remember the boys doing that every single thing. Ugh. I was like, I hope this trend goes away.
Catherine and I went through a situation, and she was there for both of them, thank God. I listened and watched somebody try to harass Rodney Dangerfield and Dennis Miller. And it didn't work out.
Like simultaneously?
No, on different occasions.
Oh, okay.
One was down at the Kravis Center in West Palm Beach. A guy tried to harass Dennis Miller
Yeah.
did not go well for that guy.
Louis Anderson could shut him down pretty
Oh,
fast.
Louis
too.
Anderson shut him down.
I
too.
think that's a skill set you just get after
Mm.
enough stage time. You just have to just shut it down.
But it's almost more impressive with Louis, right? And I think that's what's so fascinating about him is because Dennis Miller's persona
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stage
Oh, yeah.
character, he's still Dennis Miller. So if someone
Right.
says something and he just burns them, and then
That's
it's like,
true.
okay, well, there's no. Whereas with Louis, because he's so lovable, to like put somebody down but not become an asshole. Because if you're Louis Anderson,
Yeah.
you don't get to be an asshole.
Right.
No.
So
Right.
Well, he
that
would
to
just-
me is even more impressive.
But he would just turn into this. Listen, I'm trying to do a show here, and you're being
Yeah.
very disruptive. He would
Mhm.
he would do the reasoning with
yeah,
them.
yeah,
type
yeah.
thing.
The mom thing.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
Really-
there's the
yeah.
we're back to becoming a mom.
Yeah.
There you
Mhm.
go.
And then they would be like, "We're sorry.
You know, you've
we
made
had
me,
a few alcoholic beverages."
Yeah.
I'm
or
very
Scott."
disappointed in you tonight.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, there you
Scott
go.
Hansen, one time a guy in the front row started trying to take on Scott Hansen. He looked at him and says, "Shut the F up or I'll fall on you."
That's a pretty good one.
That was pretty good, I thought.
I can close with that. God, this we've been on for an hour already. My God, that
Just
went
about.
quick. But the Rodney Dangerfield one, since you already brought up that whole gay thing, I can now say what he said to the guy.
Oh,
And
I
again,
gave you
he said,
permission?
no. So in a way, yes, in a way. So Catherine and I at the Carlton Celebrity Room seeing Rodney Dangerfield, and some guy just keeps harassing him. He's running his mouth, blah, 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 blah. And he finally goes, "Hey, Rodney, what do you do for a living?" You know, trying to be a smart ass about
Mhm.
everything. He goes, "Rodney, what do you do for a living?" And he looks over and he goes, "I get fags for your brother." It's like, okay.
Oh my God.
Oh God, the room just blew up, and this guy didn't talk anymore after that. Robert, tomorrow night, one show and 2 shows on Friday, 2 shows on Saturday at Acme, one of the great comedy clubs in the world, not just the United States of America. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. It's especially for someone that grew up wanting to be a comedian. It's like getting
Yeah.
drafted by the Yankees because
Yeah.
you know
Yep.
Chad Daniels came up through there.
Mhm.
There's so many big names. Maria Bamford.
Yeah.
So it's you just feel like you're carrying on this legacy of really incredible,
Yep.
thought-provoking comedy and stuff. And so yeah, it's an honor and it's my favorite week of the year.
No, I understand. No question. Well, come back in next time you're in town. Come back and do the show. It's lovely having you on.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Is everybody else good? Any final comments?
We're good.
All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Got a picture in my pocket reminds me of this one was before.